talking about being, what I get is you're talking about kind of be more in integrity with yourself in a way. It's
well, the thing is all about choice.
yeah.
And right now, unfortunately, choices are very narrow. And I'm talking about in regards to choices concerning foods and food products, because most food products are wrapped in plastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So what do we do about that? The thing is that I can bitch and moan and complain about it.
Yeah.
But what can I do? I mean, can I like maybe go to a store and say, hey, you know, I really like what you're selling there, and I will buy it, and I will probably continue to buy it. But did you ever think about maybe having a reusable or true recyclable type of packaging for this, to where number one, it's really hip now to have, you know, things that are, well, you know, it's good for the planet, right? Or it's really cool to say, well, I'm vegan, or I'm gluten free, you know, it's like
It's become a fad.
Right? Yeah, and that, you know, unfortunately, fads do sell, and they are part of that genre that you can go into. Well, like right now, I'm vice president of Recycle Hawaii here on Big Island.
Told you I had a special guest.
And what I want to do is that, you may not be aware of this, but Costco stores all over the United States, they sell the most quantity of organic products in the United States. The most.
That I did not know.
Yes, Costco does.
Costco.
Yes. So what I want to do is that I want to go in here to the islands, be a representative of Recycle Hawaii, and say, isn't it time that maybe, you know, you have all these things in bulk, maybe you could sell in bulk containers and give people some kind of credit if they brought their own containers for this. And also plastics now. I mean, all these things are, you know, it used to be ones and twos that you could take back and recycle. Now we can't do that. Now we can't do cans. Now we can't do paper.
Yeah.
I mean, what's going on with this? We have to do something. We've got to, and now they're talking about, well, let's incinerate it. I mean, what does that do to plastic consumption? That just ups it.
Yeah.
That just makes it worse.
Yeah, I feel like all that is doing is actually taking care of the actual symptom, but not taking care of the cause.
It's an aspirin.
Yeah,
Right?
it is. I mean, and that is essentially how the whole system runs now. Is we are taking a look at the symptom of what is going on right now, which is there's too much plastic. Bottom line, only 91% of plastic doesn't actually get recycled. It gets sent overseas, and that's where it stays. In many countries who are so diligent about separating their trash, before getting it shipped out, it gets bundled in together all in the same place to get shipped out. What's the point in separating if that's the case?
Well, and also, those third world countries, of which China was one, they are not accepting our trash any longer.
So is that the reason why you think that that Hawaii has decided to just stop the recycling?
That is the reason.
That is the reason.
Because these other countries are not taking our trash anymore. That's why the onus of responsibility is on us. I mean, look, we got all these people, you know, Tesla and all these other people that are doing SpaceX and all these things. What is so difficult about creating products that are truly good for the planet? We can get our food in it. We can do something with it, you know, after the fact. And yet, what are we doing? Nothing. And so we must be present. We must be mindful. And when I go to the store, I mean, granted, I mean, I went to the store today. I bought stuff wrapped in plastic, and it irks me. But what can I do? I mean, you know, if I want to live organically, I grow as much as I possibly can, but I can't grow everything. And yet, I want to be able to be an example.
Yeah.
And it upsets me that I, you know, want to be a prime example of what I believe in, but yet there's another part of me, that little reptilian brain of mine, is going, "You're really an asshole."
Don't we all have that voice inside? I got one. I'm the exact same way. You know, being a raw vegan now, well, primarily raw vegan for the past 3.5 years, I've seen a dramatic reduction in my overall plastic waste. I've been able to drop it down to something like 95%. I've been able to drop it down. That said, there's still that 5% that's there. I claim to be, primarily raw vegan. I went to Island Naturals, an organic supermarket here in Hawaii, and I got a vegan pumpkin chocolate chip muffin. Yes, I got one of those, and it was wrapped in plastic. It's like there's, unless we all decide to move away from cities and live in the jungle and live with no technology whatsoever, I feel like there is no getting away from this 100%, because this is the way that the society, I feel, is created, and this is the way, through clever marketing, people have been hypnotized into buying these products.
Right.
It's all clever marketing. The reason why all this is happening, and so I love what you're doing about going to big places like Costco and really being a part of really changing the whole system.
Well, we are the change. I mean, the great thing is that we are the ones that we've been waiting for, and if not us, then who? I mean, it's like when I'm at home. You know, I'll go and I have some housemates at home, and I'll see, stuff in the sink, and it's like there's a part of me that knee jerks and go, well, they're supposed to do that, and then there's that other part of me that just says, wash it, and tell them.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to sit there and look at it and get angry.
Yeah.
Because I just want to. You got to have solutions to the problems, and there's problems, but wherever there's a problem, there's always a solution. That's our polarity. Everything's a polarity. I mean, good and evil. It's all a polarity. Dark, light. You can't have the dark without the light. You can't have the light without the darkness. I mean, that's what it's all about. And it's us believing. And that's the other thing, is that, belief systems are so unique, because belief systems are all BS. They're all bullshit. And what we need to do is create a belief system that is good for us, good for the planet, good for humanity, good for the animals, good for the plants, good for the minerals, good for all of the things that we share this beautiful, lovely place with. And if you go on the internet, you see the news, the world is shifting, really, really shifting. Of course, we have these oligarchs, but they're going to die just like the dairy industry, just like the beef industry, just like all of these, the meat industries. They're dead, literally and figuratively.
Yeah.
They're dead.
Yeah.
So we have to be that example. And the thing is that, you were talking about a sword, which I feel is a great analogy. If you are a Zen warrior and you are really that sense of a warring being, the true warrior never has to pull the blade out
Yeah,
of the
yeah,
scabbard.
yeah.
It remains there.
Yeah, it's kind of like the whole martial arts analogy, where the end goal of mastering the martial art is getting to the point where you don't need to use it.
Yeah,
It's
that's
just
right.
the energy that gets given out is enough to be able to deter anyone from wanting to cause anything with you to begin with.
Right. Or
Yeah.
intuitively.
Yeah.
I remember reading a Don Juan. You remember the Don Juan? Maybe it was Carlos Castaneda.
Mhm.
He wrote about Don Juan,
Mhm.
and Don Juan was a shaman in
Mhm.
Mexico, and he would ask Don Juan questions, and one time he said, "Well, what if you were going down a road, and there were these bandits that were waiting for you?
Mm.
How would you handle that?" You know what Don Juan said? "I wouldn't be there in the first place."
Yeah, yeah.
So that's our intuition.
Yeah.
That's our knowingness.
Yeah.
And we must know that we're on the right path, doing the right thing with the right people, and being that example of what it is to be a person that really does believe in doing the right thing.
Yeah, it's what I talk about a lot is being a part of something that is bigger than yourself, because up until quite recently, even for me, I was very much concerned with just me and what I wanted to do, and that's where all my focus was. But now that I'm moving over to Japan, and I've really kind of feel like I've discovered somewhat of a purpose. I realized that my purpose is focused around something that's completely outside of me. It has nothing to do with me. I'm focusing on
Yet it has everything to do with
exactly, yeah,
Right?
but it's a roundabout way of
Well,
coming. It's
yes.
about I'm focusing on I'm focusing on creating a kind of environment where kids who are going to be growing up, they can still enjoy this, where they can still go out into the ocean and swim with these creatures, who can go out into nature and still see all of this growing, who can have clean air and clean water. That's my focus right now. And I mean, I get goosebumps talking about this, because I feel like this is what finding a purpose, a real purpose in life is about being a part of something that is bigger than yourself. And I feel as though it's the same thing with what's going on with the current plastic situation, is if we took a step outside of just our own needs, and people who are going to Costco and saying, "I want this food," to "I want this food, but what is this going to do after? What is this going to do to my surroundings?" If people broaden their horizons and are able to see the decisions that are made every single day, how they are impacting others, not just within the direct vicinity of your town that you may be living in, but what about, like we just talked about, Southeast Asian countries, where we have been, the States, I think, is like number one or number two in trash export in the world. And so our lifestyle has a direct impact on these Southeast Asian countries. And these Southeast Asian countries who have now refused to accept our trash, we can't blame them for that, because we are part of the problem. We created this problem in the first place. We just weren't aware of the fact that it was being created, because like the whole dairy industry, meat industry, it was going on behind closed doors. So with all this information coming out now, it comes back to full circle talking about choice.
Yes.
And what choices are we going to make from now on, and what are we willing to sacrifice? Because we cannot, I feel we cannot see the way we are living right now as a truly quote unquote sustainable way. If it was sustainable, I don't feel like we'd be seeing the repercussions of the actions that we have been taking.
Well, and that's, that's the unique part about it, is that we, as you said, we are seeing the acidification of the oceans, and the oceans are being acidified because of the huge runoff from all of the poisons and the fertilizers and all that runs into the ocean
Yeah.
and kills everything.